I am 88 years old, and I can honestly tell you that I never forget my grocery list. It might sound like I am exaggerating, but I promise you it is true. This was not always my reality. Not too long ago, my mind felt like a messy drawer crammed with loose papers scattered, unorganized, and easy to lose track of. I would open the fridge and have no idea why I was there. I would walk into the bathroom with a purpose, only to stand there, blank, wondering what I had intended to do. I would lose the thread of conversations, forget the names of people I loved, and let important dates slip by without realizing. It left me frustrated, even embarrassed. The worst part was the growing belief that this was simply the way aging worked, memory fading like hair thinning or muscle tone in the legs disappearing over time. I thought it was irreversible. But then, something shifted. I stumbled upon a tiny habit just 3 minutes a day that required no pills, no expensive tools, and no complicated methods. Slowly, the fog began to clear. At first, the changes were so subtle I barely noticed. Then, after a week, I found myself recalling the little details that had once escaped me: names, faces, tasks, and most importantly, I felt like my mind truly belonged to me again. I no longer relied entirely on sticky notes, phone reminders, or the memories of others. That is why I am sharing this with you today. If you have been forgetting where you put your keys, losing your train of thought mid-sentence, or walking into a room only to wonder why you went there, I want you to hear me clearly. It does not have to stay this way. There are gentle, effective ways to strengthen your mind, and they require nothing more than consistency and a willingness to try. In this video, I will reveal exactly what this habit is, how I discovered it, how I use it every day, and why it works step by step, in simpler terms, with real-life examples, so you can begin right away. Before we dive in, I would love to know you better. Share your age and where you are watching from in the comments. And if you enjoy learning ways to protect and improve your mind, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you will never miss tips that could help you live sharper and brighter every day. It began so quietly that I almost missed it. Little things that seemed too small to matter, forgetting whether I had locked the door, getting up with a clear intention only to arrive in the kitchen and stand there wondering what I had come for, leaving my glasses on the table and later searching every corner of the house as if they had disappeared into thin air. At first, I laughed it off. I told myself it was just a touch of absent-mindedness, a harmless quirk of age, but deep down, an uneasiness was growing, one I couldn't quite explain. These lapses, no matter how minor, began to stack up, and each time it happened, I felt a little less like myself. The sharp mind that once remembered names, dates, details, and whole conversations now felt like a radio with static, sometimes clear, other times nothing but broken signals. The turning point came the day I forgot a phone call with my grandson. He had told me about a school performance he was excited for, and I promised I would be there. But when the day arrived, it slipped from my mind completely. His mother called, upset, asking why I hadn't shown up. I had no excuse, just a blank space where the memory should have been. When I spoke to him later, he didn't scold me, but the silence in his voice cut deeper than any words could. That night, I lay awake thinking about my father in his final years, remembering how I once told myself, I hope I never end up like that. Without realizing it, I was already there, forgetting, drifting, feeling as though pieces of me were slipping away. What hurt most wasn't the forgetting itself. It was the self-doubt, the constant questions. Did I actually say that, or only think it? Did I take my medication? Am I repeating myself? No one ever teaches you how to grow old with your mind still intact. Decline doesn't always crash in. Suddenly it settles in quietly, becoming part of your routine. And the most dangerous moment is when you accept it as unchangeable. For months, I was stuck there until I realized the mind, like the body, needs movement, challenge, and air. That discovery brought back hope. One of the biggest mistakes people make when their memory begins to fade is simply accepting it as part of getting older. They see it as something inevitable, almost like a natural law, and quietly give up. You have probably heard comments like, "It's normal for me to forget things now," or "What do you expect? My mind just isn't the same anymore." While these remarks may sound harmless, they can be dangerous. Over time, they turn into fixed beliefs, and once you believe there's nothing you can do, you stop trying before you even begin. I used to think that way myself, until I started noticing the difference among my own friends. At 65, 70, or 80, some seemed far more alert than others of the same age. The reason was clear: those who declined faster had convinced themselves they were already on a downward slope. That memory loss was unavoidable. Take my friend Martin, for example. He was once energetic and full of ideas, but after retiring, he spent hours sitting in front of the television, rarely left the house, stopped reading altogether, and would say, "I just can't hold on to information anymore." When I suggested he try learning to use a tablet or start a small writing project, he would wave me off, saying, "Why bother? My brain's not up for it." Then there's Samuel, who became much quieter over the years. At family gatherings, he would smile politely but speak very little. Later, he admitted that he avoided talking because he was afraid of losing his words halfway through a sentence. This is where many older adults go wrong. They withdraw, settle into repetitive routines, and close themselves off from new experiences. Without realizing it, they weaken their own memory. The mind, much like a muscle, stiffens and slows when it isn't used. Challenged and nourished with fresh ideas, interaction, and purpose. Passive aging is what I call this staying in a comfort zone that slowly becomes a cage. Active aging, on the other hand, is about small, daily choices that keep curiosity alive: reading, walking with awareness, engaging in conversation, asking questions. I have met seniors with sharper minds than many young people simply because they never stopped exercising their brains. It doesn't matter if you're 70, 80, or 90, there's always time to reconnect with your mind and reclaim what you thought was gone. If someone had told me years ago that simply paying attention to my breathing could help bring my memory back, I would have smiled politely and dismissed the idea. It sounded far too simple to be true. Yet, that is exactly how my journey began. I did not read about it in a medical article or watch a video online. It started in the most ordinary way. One afternoon, my granddaughter, a 20-year-old psychology student, came to visit. She noticed I seemed a little distant, as if my thoughts were somewhere far away. She asked gently if I was all right. I laughed and admitted, "Sometimes I walk into a room and completely forget why I came." She paused for a moment and said, "Grandpa, you could train your attention with short pauses. Just 3 minutes a day. It's called mindful attention. It's like exercise for your brain." I asked if it was meditation. She explained it was simpler and then showed me how. Right there on the sofa. Her instructions were easy each morning. Before checking my phone or speaking to anyone, sit quietly with your back straight and feet flat on the ground. For 3 minutes, focus only on your breathing. Feel the air enter through your nose, leave through your mouth. If your mind wanders, gently guide it back. To make it even more effective, picture a scene that brings calm and clarity, as though your mind is bright and fully awake. The first week, I did it mostly to please her. Not because I truly believed it would work. Sometimes I lost focus. Other times, I wondered if I was wasting my time, but something subtle began to change. I felt more present. I noticed details I had been missing: the pattern on the tablecloth, the ticking of the clock, the tone in my wife's voice. By the third week, the changes were clear. I remembered names and conversations without repeating questions. That's when I understood this was not magic or a miracle cure. It was attention retraining. Memory does not work automatically. It depends on how fully we live each moment. This 3-minute habit acted like a reset button, sweeping away the mental clutter. No equipment. Nah, just consistency. Small actions, done daily, can bring back more than you might ever imagine. At first, I thought the changes I noticed were just chance. I could recall the name of a new neighbor without asking twice. I found my glasses without turning the whole house upside down. Small victories, but they began to add up. One morning, my wife asked me to pick up bread, milk, apples, and coffee from the market. In the past, I would have written the list down, afraid I'd forget. This time, I took a deep breath, repeated it in my mind, and went without a note. I returned with everything, and that felt like reaching a mountaintop. Not because of the items, but because I had regained something far greater: confidence. I also began to remember more from our conversations. When someone asked, "Do you recall what we talked about last week?" I could answer without hesitation. I even remembered the tone of voice, the emotion behind the words. One day, my grandson told me about an upcoming exam. Days later, I asked how it went. His surprise and smile were worth more than any compliment. That's when I realized this wasn't only about memory, it was about restoring connections and reclaiming my place. My mornings felt brighter, my steps more purposeful. I slept more deeply at night, waking rested. My wife noticed, saying, "You've been happier lately, even yoking more." She was right. I found myself telling old stories I thought I had forgotten. These small, steady changes built into something powerful, like raindrops filling a well. The progress was gradual but undeniable. I recovered pieces of myself I thought were gone. And with them came the most valuable change of all. I no longer feared forgetting, because I now had a tool that kept me anchored in the present. You might be asking yourself, how could something as brief as 3 minutes create such a noticeable difference in memory? The answer isn't magic, it's grounded in clear, simple science. Even well into our 80s or 90s, the brain is never static. It constantly reshapes itself, a quality known as neuroplasticity. This means the links between brain cells can grow stronger, renew themselves, and even form brand new pathways. For a long time, people believed this only happened in youth. Now we know that, with the right stimulation, the brain can keep learning and adapting throughout life. This short daily practice provides exactly that kind of stimulation. First, let's talk about breathing. For those 3 minutes, you take slow, deep breaths. This improves the oxygen levels in your blood, and that enriched blood nourishes your brain. Imagine a plant perking up after being watered. That's how your brain cells respond to better oxygen flow. The second part is mindful focus. You direct all your attention to the present moment. You simply breathe. Notice your body and picture something that calms you. This works like exercise for your brain, strengthening it just as lifting weights strengthens your muscles. Research from respected universities has shown that in as little as 8 weeks, older adults practicing brief breathing and mindfulness saw better memory, sharper focus, and improved mood. Brain scans even showed certain areas waking up again. This 3-minute habit oxygenates the brain, reactivates underused regions, reduces stress, and sharpens thinking, all without any equipment, special tools, or medication. Just you, your breath, and your focus. In the next section, I will walk you through a clear, step-by-step approach to making this habit part of your life, right in your own home, at a pace that feels natural to you. Up until now, we've explored what this habit is, how I came to understand its value, and why it has such a profound effect on the brain. But you may still be wondering, how do I actually begin? What do I need? Where should I do it? And how can I make sure it becomes part of my routine instead of fading away after a few days? The truth is, if you can breathe, you can do this. There's no need for special skills, athletic ability, or complex equipment. All you truly need is 3 uninterrupted minutes. The ideal time to practice is in the morning, soon after waking, before diving into phones, TV, or the demands of breakfast. This is when your mind is still fresh and open, free from the day's noise. Starting with a moment of mental clarity often shapes the tone for everything that follows. If mornings aren't possible, another excellent option is right before bed, helping your mind slow down and your body prepare for restful sleep. Some people do it both morning and night, but doing it once a day consistently is enough to see change. Choose a place where you won't be interrupted. It could be your bedroom, a cozy corner of your living room, or even a quiet spot outdoors. Over time, this place becomes a personal retreat. No matter how simple, you can either sit or lie down, whichever feels most comfortable. If sitting, keep your back supported, shoulders soft, and hands resting easily. If lying down, stretch out with your arms at your sides. The goal is to be comfortable yet attentive, not rigid. 3 minutes is all it takes. That's about 12 to 15 slow, deep breaths. Remember, it's better to do 3 minutes every day than a long session once in a while. Consistency turns small actions into lasting results. To avoid forgetting, link it to a habit you already have, such as brushing your teeth or making your first cup of coffee. You might leave a note where you'll see it or set a gentle reminder on your phone. If a busy or difficult day means you can't do the full practice, simply take 1 minute for a few deep breaths and a calming word. Missing a day isn't failure, just begin again the next. What matters is keeping your connection with yourself alive. I was not the only one whose life shifted because of this simple 3-minute routine. Once I began to notice the changes in myself, I felt an urge to pass it along. I first spoke to a few close friends, then to people at the community center, and even to neighbors I met during my afternoon walks. Some listened politely, others doubted it would help, but a handful decided to try. Let me share 2 of their stories. Mrs. Margaret, 79, had been living alone for years after losing her husband. She often admitted that she would enter a room and forget why she went there. I introduced her to this practice, and she committed to doing it each morning. By the 3rd week, she told me with delight that she had remembered her daughter's birthday without any reminders, a small victory that meant the world to her. More than that, I noticed a new spark in her eyes, a presence that had been missing. Then there was Mr. Leonard, 83, who laughed when I suggested it. At my age, nothing can save my memory, he said, but after confusing his grandson's name during a family gathering, he gave it a try. He was inconsistent at first, but after a month, he proudly shared that he told a complete story to his great-granddaughter without losing his train of thought. Not everyone saw results, only those who stayed consistent did. It's like tending a garden, water it daily and it thrives. Neglect it and it fades. Over time, I saw how this habit restored not just memory, but conversation, connection, and the warmth of relationships. When an older person becomes more alert and engaged, everyone around them benefits: family, friends, even caregivers. That's something no medicine can truly replace. If you've stayed with me until now, I want to sincerely thank you, not just for hearing my story, but for allowing yourself to think about something many people believe is gone forever, memory. We've traveled together from the fog of forgetfulness to the light of hope. I've shared those early warning signs, the frustration of forgetting a conversation with your grandchild, or the sadness of looking at a shopping list and not knowing why you wrote those words. But I've also shown you how a simple 3-minute habit can breathe life back into what seemed long lost. Today, I can say with confidence, memory is not gone. It is only sleeping, waiting to be awakened. Think of it like a lamp covered in the dust of years, routine, and resignation. The light is still there. You simply need to brush it off and switch it on again. You don't have to be young. You don't need a degree or fancy tools. You only need 3 things: 3 minutes, a bit of quiet, and the desire to reconnect with your own mind. That's why I'm inviting you to try something small but powerful. Practice this habit for 7 days in a row. Just 7 days. Breathe deeply, focus your mind, and visualize clearly. Do it as the sun rises or just before you drift off to sleep. Sit in your favorite chair, on the porch, or anywhere that feels like your own peaceful space. 3 minutes each day, nothing more. Then, simply notice, are more names coming back to you? Do conversations feel richer and more engaging? Do you wake up feeling clearer and more alive? Sometimes the changes are subtle, almost invisible at first. But over time, these small shifts can open doors you thought were locked forever. It truly doesn't matter how old you are. As long as you have 3 minutes and the will to try, you can reclaim what you thought was gone. And before we part, I'd love to hear from you. If you give this a try, leave a comment sharing your experience. It might inspire someone else. And if this message resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss more ideas that can bring light back into your life. Because there is still light within you, and it's never too late to remember again.